Welcome back. It's part 2 of Do the Daily. We're going to actually cover 2 steps in the Do the Daily: how to lead generate and how do you follow up with those leads.
Yeah, today on the WB&L Wandering But Not Lost podcast.
You've reached the WB&L Wandering But Not Lost podcast, where real estate and reality meet. And now your hosts, Jan O'Brien and Matt Emerson.
Well, welcome everyone to the WB&L Wandering But Not Lost podcast, where together we align, connect, and prosper. It's episode 285, Jan O'Brien, and you can find all those show notes over at WBNLpodcast.com. Okay, Jan O'Brien, we did the first part of this series a couple episodes ago, back on 283, and if you didn't see that and you're listening to us right now, go back to 283 and jump into the first episode of this, where we talked about the morning routine, which I don't know. Jen and I have been talking about the morning routine for 7 years now, and
not always doing it, but now.
I know. I think now more than ever, we are actually really. That's like an integral part of the day, more than ever. We're really doing it. So
because we have been talking the talk, but it was time to start walking that walk.
Yeah, literally in many ways.
Walking the walk of the talk. Yep.
We did have a little episode in there in between talking about that NAR settlement suit. Jen O'Brien, the world was on fire on that Friday. How are you feeling? You feeling like everyone's kind of calmed down a little bit, or what's the feeling out there that you've been reading?
I think it's weird. It's like it's all about that news cycle. I think there's still a lot of folks out there that really haven't heard about it, and there's a lot of great content that's coming out, however, from some of the other real estate industry experts that just are coming in with the recommendation of what we talked about in our episode, which was calm down. It's not here yet, but get ready for the inevitable. Make sure you're comfortable having those conversations, and that he or she who makes adjustments sooner rather than later will prevail, right? To change is always constant. And so I feel all good about it. I feel like, we're just going to have to make some changes. There's a bunch of unanswered questions as we move through, which I'm looking forward to getting the answers to. And that's what comes up in everybody talking about it. So
yeah, and it's really about, we've talked about this all the time too, not just since this lawsuit broke or the settlement broke, but you just always need to show your value, be able to give your value and proposition to your buyers and or sellers. And if you master that, you're ahead of the game. So
let's review what the 5 elements of the Do the Daily are. Okay. Number 1, always a powerful morning routine. Whatever that is for you, go check out episode 283, plus a bunch of other episodes where we've talked about it.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to cover 2 and 3, which is 1 to 2 hours of lead generation. I want to really dive into this and help you have fun with this and embrace it. And then most important after that is lead follow-up. Also, we're going to cover that today. It's no good having a lead if you don't actually follow up with them, because not everybody's ready to buy today or sell today. And then in our final episode in this series, we're going to cover steps 4 and 5, which is active clients, how that all fits in, and then escrow admin, which is where a lot of people spend their time. So we're just going to talk about how that all fits into your perfect week in your schedule. So back to lead generation number 2. So couple key principles. If you just embrace this simplicity of this, you will see the results. Okay. You have to figure out which way you're going to lead generate, which we'll talk about next. So number 1, it needs to be in your schedule, time blocked, 1 to 2 hours, preferably at least 5 days a week. Now, if you have active clients every single day this week, you may not be able to fit that in all over the place, but you could probably get at least an hour or so in. And then here's the reality. A lot of you don't have an active client. An active client means you're going out on a listing appointment or you're out showing property. Like today, I'll be out showing property all day. I still need to lead generate, and I'll get to that in a moment about how I'm going to do that. I'm going to start it, what I have to do, and I may have to finish it later. It just depends on the time. So you have to manage your day based on what is really going on in your schedule. But if you commit to 1 to 2 hours a day, at least 5 days a week, and put it in your calendar and stick with it. So point 3 is consistency of doing it. I don't care what the type of lead generation is. So let's talk a little bit about what could it be. It's obviously always your sphere of influence. You're always going to have your database, whatever you want to call it. That's the people that know you, that if you texted or called them, they would know who you are. What is your system for following up with those folks so that some of them might want to buy, but the reality is some of them are your past clients and could give you referrals. So everyone has that in their business structure. Everyone, right? It doesn't even matter about real estate, Matt, right?
That's right. Absolutely.
Every business counts on repeat and referral business. If I owned a restaurant, you would hope people would write reviews or they would recommend or bring their friends to your restaurant. That's how a lot of small businesses do business.
That's right.
By word of mouth, right? And because they provide great service and they have a great product and so on. So that we all have. So the key to this whole new business lead generation thing is to figure out what is your other niche or two. I don't believe you should try to do a whole bunch of things. So I'm going to name a bunch of things, and by no means should you try to do all of these because you won't do them well and you're not going to like all of them, which is the next most important part, is to figure out what you're good at and also what you really like to do, what you're passionate about, what you would get up every day and not think is a grind to go do it. So for example, if you don't like doing open houses because in your mind they don't work and you've got this whole paradigm that open houses don't work, then guess what? They're not going to work for you because you already believe they don't. I personally believe and know from my experience that they do work. And I think they're one of the best ways to get out and get business because it can be your place of business today. Mm-hmm. You can't sit at home and hope somebody knocks on your door and says, "Hi, Jan, I know you're in real estate and I want to sell my house." Right. But if you had an open house today, you could have people, neighbors included, or just people driving by seeing your signs to come in, or if it was advertised, seeing it on all the portals, to come in and talk to you. And if nobody does come in to talk to you for 3 to 4 hours today, that's your place of business where you've got an open house, "I'm open for business," signs leading people to you. Then what do? You catch up on all these other things that we're going to be talking about next in lead follow-up. So you have a productive day out at an open house, open for business concept. So maybe that just changed your mind a little bit about open houses, but that's the key point I'm bringing up here. You have to like it. You have to believe in it, and you have to set the intention that's going to work for you. But if you're going, let's name what all the things you could do. You could knock on doors. Yep, I hear you out there going, "No way I would." Okay, well then don't do it.
Right.
And here's an idea. Knock on doors that you're going to hold the open house for to invite them. Now that's an easier door knock. It's like there's a purpose for your call or your door knock. Cold calling. A lot of people don't like to do that. Well, what about if you're making warm calls? Calling people that have already reached out to you or are in your sphere of influence. You can do expireds or for sale by owners or networking or social media. There's just a litany of things that you can do. Farm, all types of farming. And we're not going to get into all the ways that you can lead generate. We've talked about that. We have a whole course on that. Sections are in there. But you've got to figure out, and if you're newer in the business, you've got to try them all so you can figure out what you're good at. It could be a niche, right? Niches. What's our friend Rich Brocken call it? Niches
for riches.
Niches for riches.
Yep.
Richard Brocken, if you're hearing that, that's all you. And this is a course that you used to teach and share with people. And there are so many niches. And part of what he said and what we're saying is, what's the thing that you have a connection with? So for example, what did you do in your past life before you got into real estate? Yeah. If you were a teacher or a nurse, maybe you have an affinity of that kind of person to work with. If you're military, demographics could be a niche. A type of home could be a niche. You could be a townhome king or queen or beachfront property king or queen. So there's so many things to consider what it could be, but you've got to figure out what it's going to be for you. And I recommend beyond your database or sphere, 1 to 2 other pillars of lead gen sources, and that's it. And they need to fit into that category. That way, 1 to 2 hours a day is not a drain. And every single one of those, if you were to call me and say, "Jan, help me with a system for calling expired listings," I could help you with that. But guess what? You have to get up every day, 5 days a week and do it 1 to 2 hours. Because the consistency of doing the action with your intention and you really like to do it is going to get you results. It's going to attract you business. That's the key.
You know what, Jan? I love the way you set that whole section up talking about, because I'm going to tell you, I think a lot of times when you're planning your week or planning your time, you're doing that blocking and all that kind of stuff, and it all looks so perfect. And then like 1 second later, everything goes to hell in a handbasket, right? But the way you said that you don't have to sit down for 2 hours and do this, just as long as you do it for 2 hours in a day, or 1 to 2 hours, or whatever your time frame is. Mm-hmm. And that is really, really key, I think, to get that concept through your head before you even get going there. Because, I think about often now how we had an interview in one of our Ask Fives with Rick Hudson, who had written a book about franchising. And he had this big, huge desk calendar that he used, right? And he would talk about how he blocked all that time, and he had put together all of the days and all the functions and items needed to do to write that book over a period of time. And he would draw a big green box around it if he had completed all things in that day, and a big red one around it if he didn't. And he would not start the next day until the things that were not done in that first day were actually moved to a different time. And I know that's just time blocking 101, but it's so easy to say, oh, didn't get around to today, I'll get around it some other time, right? No, you have to make that time up. And I think that is, I like the way you kind of allowed it not to be all at the same time, right? It could be
absolutely. You have to be flexible in this business. Right. So you just spoke of discipline, and I'm using consistency, discipline. What I'm saying is you'll have inconsistent results if you just do what we just talked about every once in a while.
That's right.
Like if open houses are going to be your thing and you only do them once a month, then you're going to get the results of once a month working. Okay. Yeah. But if you did it 3 times a week, 3 or 4 open houses a week for 4 weeks, I guarantee you will have business.
Yeah. No doubt.
But that's the issue. People are like, well, that's work and I don't want to do it. Then it's not for you, but it's a mindset thing. So what Cosmo and I do is content creation. And we have been busy, but we have been behind in getting our content creation, which always, when we do get behind in doing it, we recognize that we try to get back on track with it and post at least 2 videos a day. We notice that we don't get the leads. So as soon as we get back on track with all of that, the leads will start coming in, because it's the intention and the action get the results. Right. So you set the intention, you go do the thing you need to go do. You just can't think about it. You go do the action. For us, it's creating great content. And then it's the next part we're going to talk about with follow-up. Because the bottom line is, you're ultimately have to have this magic that happens of what you do to generate leads and make a connection with someone so that you can build trust and rapport with them, because no one's going to work with you unless they know, like, and trust you. And what we've discovered in our lead generation for social media content, videos, short videos in particular, people follow us for quite a while and then reach out, and we've already, covered that hurdle. We don't have to go through a whole bunch of know, like, and trust. I'm meeting somebody today that I've talked to several times, and we've done an online Zoom meeting. We're meeting in person for the first time. We feel like we already know each other. We already have that trust and rapport, and now we're about to go out and show her the city and take a look at what she could purchase later in the year. That's how it works. Okay, but here's the big but. And I'd rather say and. This is only working for us because of the consistency for doing it for the last 2 years. And we do enjoy it. And we find new ways to be creative with it and keep it interesting so it doesn't become boring and dull. Which is what
for you or the people watching.
Correct. Okay. Yeah. So that's the big piece for number 2. Figure out your lead gen in addition to the people that you already know. And then it comes in right automatically into lead follow-up. So if you're doing 1 to 2 hours of lead generation, you've got to schedule some time, whether you do that as part of that time block or a whole nother time block, where you actually have a system. And I want to walk you through a very simple system for lead follow-up, because the reality is you'll meet people from the various ways that you're out there just talking to people today, or one of your niches or pillars, lead sources that you're doing. You'll be connecting with, you'll run into people and they're not ready to buy today. So they've got to go into a trusted system that you have so you don't forget about it. And this is where I feel like a lot of agents drop the ball. And we've done this a little bit, not doing the best of follow-up. And we're transitioning back to it. I want to transition back to a CRM. We didn't start right away with a CRM because here's the deal. If you followed us at all listening, I've always been an avid believer in, you have to have a CRM. But here's what I've come to now. You have to have a system that you use every day. And I'm not really caring about what that system is as long as it has these features. A CRM that's real estate specific, that has these things in it would be good. Some of the CRMs, let me just take a step back. There's too many bells and whistles that you're not going to use in a CRM anymore.
Absolutely.
A couple years ago, I was all about automatic texting. Too much of that happens now. Nobody wants those texts. They all seem like spam. I get several a day, I don't know about you, that are trying to sell me healthcare or something. And I can tell it's an automatic, I can tell, especially if it's a realtor related thing, because it'll say, hey, Janice. And I'm like, that's not somebody who knows me. That's somebody has gotten the list from scrape the list because my name is officially Janice on my license. I just delete it because it is a sales call. What I'm trying to tell you is if you're using automatic texting right now, that's what people are thinking. So a lot of these CRMs have all this great, cool stuff, but it's not coming from your phone and it's not coming from you. It's coming from a system. Now, that might be an okay way if you're doing a ton of lead generation and hundreds of leads are coming in and you need a way to sort through it, go for it. But most people aren't doing that. So I think that you've got to have a system that is going to allow you to put the person's information in. Here's a couple of the key points. You have to keep detailed notes. As you start meeting and talking to people every time, you haven't met them yet. So if you're a good interviewer and you're providing a great consultation, you're gathering all this information about them. What's important to them? What's the name of their kids? What are the things that they like to do? Put that into your CRM or your lead generation system. Yep. Okay. And that is what's critically important. So the follow-up has to be, you met somebody, so you go through your lead generation, and what people do is they're just looking for what we like to call the low-hanging fruit, the people that are going to buy today. Everyone else, I don't have time for you. I don't have a system for you. And that's where you're losing valuable, possible future business. So yes, of course, you're going to go find the people that want to work today. And this is what we do. We have to focus. There's only so much time in the day. We're going to go work with the people that want to work with us this week, today, next week. But we have to have a good system to go, when do we need to follow up? So they have to go in, they have to have detailed notes, and then you must have a field that says next contact. So when I'm talking to Matt today, because it was my time, my CRM tells me call these 10 people today. I get an update, I text, I call, I see, is he still in the market for buying a home or listing his home? Has anything changed? Just catch up. I put my notes into my system, and then I say, when am I going to call him again? Because if you don't do that step, so there's a couple ways you can do it. A CRM that you use every day. So if you buy a CRM and you don't open it and have it open all day long on your phone, a mobile version, when you have opportunities to make follow-up calls and follow up with leads throughout the day while you're waiting and standing in line somewhere or whatever, then you're going to fail because you don't have time to go figure out who should I call. So it needs to tell you every day, who should I call? Who do I need to follow up with? And then you must say, when's the next contact? So it can be inside the CRM, which is awesome, inside whatever lead generation, or put it in your calendar. If calendar is what you use, and it might say 2 months from now, call Matt Emerson. I don't care what it is, but it's got to be something that you're going to use. I think that's the big problem, Matt. I think so many people go out and get a fancy CRM and then they never open it. So I'm trying to tell you half of it's not needed anymore, in my opinion. That's just me. But these parts I'm talking about, all their contact information, their notes, where you are in the transaction would be useful, like basically turning somebody and keeping records of your business is important to know what are your metrics, how many of the people that you've talked to, how many times do you have to talk to them before they actually go buy a house? All that can happen in a good CRM, and I'm all for it. But you've got to use the things that it comes with. And in my opinion, it's the idea of who do I need to call next, and having a flow. So every day I'm lead generating, and every day I'm doing something to talk to people. Last thing on this is categorizing those leads. So there's been numerous ways I've done it over the years. I'm a fan of the Brian Buffini A+, A, B, C, and the D's, which mean delete. But I've gone to a time system. So in our lead gen system, we have 0 to 120 days. Those people are in one group with all their information and when's the next contact and what did we talk to them last about and what have we done so far. And then we have 120 plus, as category 2. So that's when they're telling us they're ready to buy or sell. And then we have people in the pipeline who we've talked to, who've got some interest maybe, they're just not sure. So that's kind of like A's, B's, and C's in a way in the Buffini method, okay? And then you got to delete the people. The D is a powerful thing because we've had a couple instances with some folks and we just deleted them out of our database because for various reasons. We don't need to get a referral from that person or whatever, okay? They don't fit into our value structure of somebody that we want to work with, okay? So those are sort of the keys. This is all basic information, but really, if I can recap, it comes with using a great time system, a time blocking system, and having the discipline to do these things every day. It's very easy to fall into a trap of, which I have recently, and we've not done it every day, our lead gen, even though I have it on my calendar, lead gen, every day. I'm not doing it every single day. I have the idea of doing it, and so I've kind of fallen into that trap because we've been busy, and that's what happens. We get busy, and you're like, you're busy. Woohoo! We're closing deals and we're working with new leads, but then what will happen when you get caught up with all of that, you'll have a lull in your business because the thing that you do to generate business is stopped temporarily, and as soon as you turn it on again, if it's a well-oiled machine of your system, it will. So what we try to do is, even if we can't do the maximum amount of lead generation in that given week, we at least try to get something going with it. And then something's better than nothing, I guess, is the way to say that. Right?
Jan, it's funny. If you are not very focused on your business and really committed to, the long term, the long game on your business, that lull can be very, very dangerous a very dangerous time because you can get distracted and off on other things too, and not back onto the course you should be on. I love what you said about the CRM, and it's not so much about which CRM you choose, but actually how you actually freaking use your CRM. Yeah. And not only just the consistency of it, like the daily, get in there and do it, and do it every day, but where to actually focus your time. And the notes are so important, right? Or that next step critical, or what's the point of even having it in the first place? We do, however, have a great video on how to choose a CRM. And, Jan talked about a couple things today that, she might do different than things she might have talked about in that video. But the whole point is still the same, right? That if you need some sort of system to get this going. And if you got your, Post-it notes and that works for you, more power to you, right? But there's a lot of different ways to do that. So I'm going to put a link to that video right up here at the top here. So go check that video out over on our YouTube channel. And while you're there, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. So there you are.
Maybe I should do an update on that. Yeah. How to choose a CRM in today's world. Because
I am going to have to say, Jenna Bryan, give you some props on that. That is our most watched video.
Yeah, period. Because people go searching for because it's so confusing. What CRM should I use? And I think we will do a podcast on that where we'll really dig into the details of it. Because I have been researching again, wanting to decide if we're going to make the shift to it. And Cosmo and I talk about it all the time. And one of the biggest reasons we haven't done it, we know that at some point our system that we're using currently is going to become too cumbersome. But the reality is it's both of us committing to logging into it every day.
Yeah.
And if we don't do that, then it's not worth it. And it's completely that. You've got to look at it truly. And it's something I do say in that video that's a couple years old. If you love the system and you learn it, it's your virtual assistant. If you use the tools the right way, it's telling you what you need to be able to do. And then you feel confident and trust, and then you like it. I just think there's too many things in a lot of them. So I'm really looking, and I know just about all of them. I've used all of them. I'm trying to make a decision on the best one. So if you're listening all the way to the end here and you have a good idea of a system that you like, and I'm not ever getting back into one of these systems with a big front end website. I don't even think
you don't need
that. I love KV Core, but I don't need all those bells and whistles because I'm not a lead generation online team. We tried all that and it worked well. I don't need Boomtown and all that. That's not us, but it may be for you because you need a website because you're paying for advertising that drives people to. So there's a lot of that in that CRM. And again, it's going to be based on what you need. The tools you need is based on the model that you're using, in my opinion now. So we really should do an update on that. We'll do it. So do the daily, folks. So you do a morning routine, you get some lead gen going and lead follow up, and then we'll finish up with just balancing active clients and all the busy stuff that seems to fill up our calendar, which does fill up our calendar that maybe we use as excuses to not do 1, 2, and 3. That's what we'll talk about in the next episode.
Very good. Love it. All right, everyone. For all the information from today's podcast, as well as some links to other things we talked about today, go over to the show notes at wbnlpodcast.com, episode 285, inching towards episode 300. We're going to have to do something really special for that because that's a pretty big milestone in podcast land.
That'll be this year, right? Sure.
Yeah. That'll be fun to hit that milestone. Anyway, over there at wbnlpodcast.com, all of the show notes, episode 285. Anything else, John O'Brien?
No, I'm just ready to get up, get out. It's very windy out here today. I'm going to go show homes, but it'll get me all around the valley today. I'm going to do a little valley tour, get outside, and it's been very windy here in Vegas for 2 days.
Yeah, it's been sunny here, but you're about to get some rain because rain's coming here tomorrow. We're supposed to have over 1.5 inches. Oh my gosh.
The forecast says rain tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. So get up, get out. Hey, and if you are celebrating the season, happy Easter to you. That's coming up this weekend as well. Good Friday today as we're recording. So other than that, everyone get up, get out. What are all the things we say now? Get up, get out.
Align, connect, prosper.
Find your joy.
Find your joy.
Which all, you know what, we're laughing at this, but these are all very
happy,
right? So anyway, get up, get out, find your joy, fly, connect, prosper, and be forever wandering but not lost. All good stuff.
Hey, can we pause for a second? Sure. I want to come back. I feel like I'm a bright shiny light and I don't like it, and I don't know how to.
Well, good. While you're pausing, I'm getting another cup of coffee. Well, that's quite an exhale.
Hello. Do you want to start over, or do you feel okay with what?
No, I think that was good.
All right.